Good afternoon, guys. It's Darren from Jace Media, and in the chair this afternoon we have Americana country vocal sensation Miss Kezia Gill. Kezia, good afternoon, and how are you?
I'm very well. I was wondering what you were going to introduce me as then. You look like you really have to think about it.
Sometimes you've got to big it up. You go, I'll introduce this, and some people go, I wonder where they got that from, So it's just nice to give you, my boss always says, can you get sometimes the guests to introduce themselves? But sometimes people go, that's a bit pretentious,
It's a bit strange, yeah. I'm very well.
But that's great. Listen, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're awful busy doing stuff. So, yeah. How was life treating you?
It's treating me really well. I can't believe how quickly this year seems to be going. I look back to sort of April when the restrictions here in the UK just started to lift, and I started rehearsing with my band after 12 months off. Started learning the new material, all gearing up for what was set to be a really busy festival season. And now it just feels like I've blinked and I've got one festival left, and it's like what?
Yeah,
where's that time gone? I mean, there's still an awful lot in the diary to look forward to. I've got tours and shows coming up, but I feel like I'm spinning. I cannot believe how quickly. Maybe it's because we had so long off and it was so chilled and there was no music, and now it's all come back. I feel like I'm busier than I ever was before the pandemic. It's crazy.
But I think that what I said to all my guests and stuff is that for us as a reviewer and interviewer, we have never stopped. I probably have 30, 40, 50 reviews every week, from various artists all over the world. And you're thinking, where do these people go to make music? Because nowhere's open, and you open your inbox, there's another one. Yeah. And you're like, bloody hell, But I think that's good that the music scene's so vibrant. It's got lots of styles coming out, lots of new material, lots of new artists, emerging through. And maybe this is a good time or a bad time that with pandemic kind of. And I hasten to say, I don't think it'll ever be over. But I think coming out of the end of it, there's lots of new artists coming through, and maybe this is the right time for them.
And I think what the pandemic, certainly from a personal perspective, the pandemic gave me an opportunity to write new material, to really develop my online presence, so to really get that social media buzz going. And you very recently reviewed my EP, which was a complete lockdown project, purely because I had no other outlet for that creativity, for that energy. So you probably will have a very busy few months.
Here it is.
That's
all my notes and everything. So I always I like to give when I do a review, I like to give the most honest and frank, and it's like I'm there in the front row with you, and I think that's where for me is get the greatest buzz. I love doing the interviews. Are just for me are spectacular because you get to meet so many new people, you get to meet so many different walks of life, and get an insight into them, what they're all about, what they've been doing and stuff, and it's great, it's fantastic, but reviewing music is an absolute passion, and I think for me, like blues and Americana and soul are kind of taken over at the moment. They're really coming through. You get lots of heavy metal and death. I reviewed a death metal album yesterday.
Okay.
And I said to my boss after it, I think I've destroyed about 1 million brain cells that I'll never get back. And I'm like, was it that bad? And I clicked it and I had to listen to this. He's like, bloody hell, But I guess I can't just go, I'm going to review this, not review that. I have to be impartial. But I must say that when you do the country and blues, you get lots of fantastic emotions coming from it that you can really resonate with, which is fantastic.
I'd agree with that. And I think one thing I can say about your review in particular, Darren, was how in depth it was. Like I'm fortunate enough to get I get a lot of opportunities for people to review my music, and quite often they kind of follow a bit of a script, and it's this, that, and X, Y, Z. But with you were talking about, or when the bass kicks in, or during the second chorus when the music drops. I was like, that's the stuff I spend my time on to evoke a reaction from a listener. I'm very much about sort of you know, light and shade, and taking the listener on a journey, not just with the lyrics, but with the production and with the music, and how we've made that snare drum sound, and how we've made that guitar sound. And you just picked up on all those moments, and honestly, I feel like I'm interviewing you now. It's one of the best reviews that I've ever had of my music, so thank you for that.
Listen, Kezia, it's my pleasure. You know, I think that, you know, the good thing about myself is that you're right. When I review it, I could just say, oh yeah, you know, the vocals came in, it was great, you know, the song flowed, it was brilliant, and then move on to the next one, you've got maybe 2 lines. You know, if I get into a song, it's a good 7 or 8 lines, you know, and people are like, wow, my boss is like, you must have really enjoyed that. And I guess it's just how you feel. You know, you get into the music and you think, wow. And when you pick up on all the instruments and you pick up on all the breaks and change ups, and people go, wow, you know, I get a really fantastic compliment from a blues artist. What's this, Tuesday? On Saturday, a gentleman called Big Daddy Wilson.
Okay.
And he's a 69-year-old blues musician from Connecticut.
Amazing.
And he's now living in Germany. And he said to my boss, please pass on my warmest thoughts, because Darren really picked up on everything. And I think that's what I do. You know, I don't want to just go 6 tracks, do this, do that, and you go, right, okay. You know, for me, it's about making you feel the best you can, because you've waited for this for months, you know, in the studio. Do you know what I mean?
And it's the difference between reviewing it and actually listening to it. And that's the thing, you listened to it, and hence that came through in the review.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you liked it, you know, and I think yourself and Donna liked it as well. I think she was like, wow, you know, really great review. And I guess it's, for me, it's to do the best for you, you know, and, you know, and you could just go, here's another one, you know, 5 tracks, 6 tracks, 15 minutes, and I'm out of here, you know. But that's not what I'm all about, because I think, you know, even when you talk to the artist, you don't let you go, yeah, your CD was okay, 6 tracks, and it was over in 50 minutes. You're like, oh, right, okay. What else you want to talk? What else you want to talk about? You know, so I guess that for me is the thing that, you know, it's like I just said at the start, it's a passion. If I didn't feel passionate about it, I'd just go, yeah, 6 tracks. The Lassie was all right, and then I moved on. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, it's like, you know, I want to give you the best that I can, and I'm glad that I've done that. You know, so
yeah, you did.
So you were obviously playing last week with good buddies of mine, the Outlaw Orchestra, the lads. Did you catch their set at all? Did you chat with them? Yeah, they're brilliant boys. Yeah, and my other buddy, young Laura Evans. Yes,
do you know, I so badly wanted to just spend the whole weekend just being at the festival and watching the music, because obviously Buckle and Boots Festival for me is where I sort of started my journey in the UK country scene. And when I saw the lineup and the likes of Laura Evans and Outlaw Orchestra, I was like, I just want to spend the weekend at the festival watching the music. But it was one of those things where I actually had so many commitments. I had interviews, I was recording for a new docu-series called The Barn. I also had 5 separate stage performances. And in amongst that, you've got all the girly stuff like hair and makeup and having to get ready, and then just having to eat and having to sleep. And I feel like the whole weekend just went so fast, and half the people I really wanted to sit and enjoy, I couldn't. So I think next year I might just have to go incognito, just put a wig on.
Yeah, that glasses and a big Stetson.
That's it. Just enjoy.
There's someone normal there.
Absolutely, just to enjoy the amazing talent we've got on this scene. Like, it's absolutely, it really is. It's a small pool, but it's a very healthy pool.
And I think you're absolutely right. You know, I think you look at, you know, some of the stars that are coming through the scene, and you think, wow, you know. And as I say, for me, this job is like the best job in the world, because you get to listen to new talent, you get to review new music before anybody else gets it, you know, and you go, wow, there's this young girl coming out, she's fantastic. People go, who's she? Oh, it's a blues girl. And people are like, wow, you know, and that's the best thing about this job, you know. And I think you're right. I think it's really buoyant at the moment. I think there's lots of talent coming through, and it's a different take as well on the country scene. You know, I think, you know, a lot of it used to be, you know, I'll pick up my guitar and play my 3 chords and talk about killing myself, you know, and now you know, it's all about journeys and, you know, and being a better person, and, you know, and all about your life expectancies and stuff. I think it's so much better. You know, it's so buoyant and so vibrant. And when you talk to these, you know, these artists, they're just like full of, you know, I really love what I do. And, you know, you used to get the country stars like, yeah, I tour from place to place, and then I go home and I record, and then I go back on the road, and you're like, wow, you get a really great life, you know. So I guess for you guys, because you've just said it's like interview after interview, you know, and it's performance after performance, and then hair and makeup, you know. So it's a whole level of difference than what it used to be, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the thing, it's amazing, really, the journey that I've had. It seems to have been very quick, although prior to sort of being, I hate to use the word discovered, but struggling to find something else, I kind of got discovered at Buckle and Boots. I'd already been gigging for 12 years, writing my own music, but I was struggling to find an audience for it because I wasn't pop, I wasn't cool, I wasn't hitting the kind of Radio 1 demographic, which my age group, you know, when I was in my 20s, that's what I always thought I should have been.
Yeah.
And even, you know, even before people like Ed Sheeran came out, you know, the singer-songwriter vibe wasn't really happening. It was all sort of more electronic dance music, big production. I was like, I don't really know where I fit. I felt like I'd missed the boat because I felt like I was more of a Sheryl Crow, Alanis Morissette, Katie Tunstall. And I thought, I kind of missed the boat with that. I'm kind of too late.
Yeah.
And then I got the opportunity to play at Buckle and Boots, and I suddenly discovered this whole audience for people like me, singer-songwriters, and you know, sort of went forth with the genre title of a country singer-songwriter. But what I really wanted to do this year was just show people there's a few other sides to me. So sort of growing up, I grew up with a love of country, but also, you know, Americana roots and blues, you know, and listening to big soul singers as well, like Aretha Franklin and Sam Cooke, and certainly people like Chris Stapleton for me are also pushing those boundaries, because, you know, he could be a soul singer all day long, but he sings the stories of a country singer. And I just wanted to be a little bit more, you know, just a bit more like don't put me in a box. Don't just say this is the kind of music we expect from you. Just always just say, like, we never know what we're going to get from Kezia, but fingers crossed it's always going to be something that we enjoy. And that was sort of something I developed over the pandemic. I was able to explore those boundaries, and like you said yourself with the EP, it doesn't really fall into any one box. It's just Kezia Gill, it's singer-songwriter, and it's the same way that, you know, you wouldn't put Ed Sheeran in a box, you wouldn't put Rod Stewart in a box, you know. And it's just, I just like to think of myself now as a singer-songwriter, and if people enjoy my songs, then I'm happy, and I'm doing what I should be doing.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you're right. You know, and I think you know, you don't want to be put in a box, because the EP is just, it's an incredible EP. You know, the tracks, you know, one follows another.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, oh, she's a country star, or she's an Americana, or she's blues, or she's pop, or she's hip hop, or she's you know, or she's classical rock or whatever. You know, you come out, you know, and I've written on my little bit of paper, right, I've written my favourite track, right? So this is just me, right?
Yeah.
I've got All of Me, which is my favourite track on the EP. And that doesn't mean to say that the other five don't measure up, but you know that when you hone in on a track and you think that I really connect with that, and that's where I kind of see me when I look at an artist, and I think, you know, and I don't really think it matters. You turn up to a festival, you know, and there could be another 50 artists who are world class. You walk on stage, you plug in the guitar, and off you go, and people think, wow, you know, and that's what you get with this EP. It's just 6 fantastic, memorable tracks that, in my opinion, are world class.
Oh, thank you so much.
So, absolutely, because you just feel the emotion coming from it. You just feel like you poured your heart and soul into it, which is fantastic, you know. And and you're possibly right that you know, when you were discovered at Buckle and Boots, and discovers maybe it's a loose term, because you kind of think, you know, no one really gets discovered. You know, someone comes in and goes, wow, that girl's fantastic. And it's not about me, I discovered her. You know, it's like,
yeah, exactly.
She came onto the stage and someone thought this girl's got something. It's not like someone goes, I've discovered her, you know. But I think for yourself, you know, you found your niche with your type of music that fitted your genre, and that people, you know, when you start seeing people sitting next to you tapping their foot, you think, oh, they must like it, you know, because it's like, if someone doesn't like it, they'll go, wonder what's for tea tonight.
They will tell you.
You know?
They will tell you.
Yes.
And that's it. And I think at the end of the day, like, I mean, it's interesting that you've chosen All of Me, which Stand Alone is a blues track. You know, Stand Alone, if you'd never heard any of my other stuff, you would straight away assume that I'm a blues singer. But then, you know, the next song on the album is called Country Song, and it's about a girl that goes to Nashville. So again, it's just about writing, hopefully, great songs that people are going to enjoy. And, you know, my biggest objective moving forwards for sort of 22 and 23 is to take this music that I've worked so hard on and just get people to listen to it. Because even though the country scene is strong, it is small, and I'm excited to reach out to the Americana scene, you know, rock and blues. Why not? And you know, with the backing of people like Radio 2, you know, trying to push the music out there. You know, you always feel as an artist there's always a demand for new music. But the truth is, first time somebody hears one of your songs, it's new. Doesn't matter whether I wrote it 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So I've worked very hard on these songs. I'm very proud of them. And it's all about now getting people to hear them. So the objective moving forward is to just spread the word.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just as you say that, you know, I speak to my boss before I came on, and I always like to get my figures. And when I reviewed the EP, we have an Americana site, but we also have probably 50 other sites all over the world that we post to. And he said to me before I came on to speak to you, it's been viewed 2,000 times.
Really?
Yeah. So people, you know, I think what you get with the country blues Americana, people hone in on a voice, and they think, well, this girl must be good, or this guy must be good, this band must be good. And I think that's, you know, that then reaches out for me when I put out my review. You know, I give a big spiel about where you've been, what you've done, who you've toured with. And then I go and listen to this, and then, you know, I give it my all, and then people go, wow, that must be fantastic. And what we get is we get a lot of people going, I went out and bought that EP, or I went and bought that album because you said it was brilliant, you know, or I went and downloaded it because it was great, you know. So, you know, when this goes out, you know, there'll be millions of people thinking, I need to scramble to Kezia's merch page.
I do hope so, because that's what it's all about. I've always said your life can change by one person just telling the right person to check you out. And, you know, all these years and years and years of work, and you're trying to knock down doors. At the end of the day, one person could just make a phone call and say, oh, you know, and you know, it could be like, oh, I know the guy that books the acts at Glastonbury. And it's just like that. And I just think, like, people talking about you as an artist and saying, oh, you should check this girl out. That is something that as artists we could never buy. You can't put a price on that. And that's why whenever I do a show, I always say, you know, if you've enjoyed yourselves, tell your friends, check me out, follow me on the socials, see what I'm up to, because that's what it's about. It's just about spreading the word.
The next time we talk to you, you're probably like every other country artist in the world, you'd be living in Nashville. Every time I'm interviewing somebody, they're like, yeah, she's living in Nashville. I'm like, crikey, Nashville must be like busting at the seams with all these country people. They must just book a ticket and go to Nashville and go, I'm not living here.
You know what? But that's if they ever let us in again. I was actually supposed to be going next month. And unfortunately, we're just not in a position to fly there safely at the moment. But it, you know, before the pandemic, we'd be going once, twice a year, if not more. And then suddenly to not be able to go, and I've got a lot of friends over there, and you know the connections that you're starting to build and the excitement, and then suddenly it's like we can't go. So I'd hate to be lost to Nashville, but I also wouldn't complain if I was.
Absolutely. So what is your next move? Where are you seeing yourself next?
Well,
obviously. But what's the last festival you have booked? What's that?
So it's the Blackpool Country Music Festival.
Right. Okay.
That's sort of the last big festival. But then following that, I've got some really exciting little shows coming up, which you can find out everywhere I'm playing. It's just on my website. If you go to keziagill.com, just go on the shows. And I've got a co-headline tour coming up with fellow singer-songwriter Jade Helliwell, another female powerhouse on the country scene, and we're heading out in November and December to do our own headline tour, so that's going to be great. And then I've got some great support stuff coming up as well, some announced, some not announced. So like I said, the objective really feels at the minute like I just want to get the music out there. I want to play to as many people, and as much as you cannot beat the feeling of singing to people that have followed your music and that can sing your lyrics back to you. There's also something quite special about someone coming up to you at the end of a show and saying, "Oh, we'd not heard of you, but we're following you now, and we've bought your CD," because that's what it's about. So I feel like moving forwards, it's just about spreading the word.
Absolutely. When are you coming to Glasgow?
So we are in Glasgow. Gosh, I'm going to try and think of the date off the top of my head. It's one of the Girl Country Tour, Jade and I. We are coming up to the Jug and Glass in Glasgow.
Not the Hugging Pint.
The Hugging Pint, not the Jug.
Yeah, the
Jug and Glass is the Jug and Glass is around the corner from me. That's why. Yes, the Hugging Pint, and I believe it is the first week of December.
Sure.
Don't quote me on that, but
that's quite all right. I'm sure I'll get along to check it out.
But yeah, you must come along. You must come along.
I will definitely come along, and we will laugh about this, because what I say to everybody is that when we've just before we finish, and I say to them, so what you need to do is start your world tour in Glasgow, and they're like, "What? You're joking? Yeah, come fly to Glasgow, do your world tour, and then piss off somewhere else. Don't care where it is. Just come to Glasgow." And they're like, "What?" And we've got a couple of glasses of wine, and then we'll put the world tour out, and they're like, and it's just a bit of fun. But I guess, like for you guys, this is your bread and butter. This is your life, and I think that when the world kind of really opens up, and I think especially in Glasgow, everybody loves a gig in Glasgow, and there's so many cool places to go. Glaswegians will show you a great time.
Yep.
And if they like you, they'll show you a better time. They love, they love to go to the sweaty little, gig halls with the sweat dripping off the roof, because you've had a great night, and they have a few pints, and they just go, "Wow, see that girl, or see that guy, see that girl, they're brilliant." And I guess for us, that's what's going to be happening. There are going to be gigs every night in Glasgow for probably 6 to 9 months, because everybody will want to come and play, and it's great that there's a lot of people getting a jump on and booking tours just now, because, I think Glasgow or Scotland is starting to open up, where there's a couple of gigs coming here, there and everywhere, and I just can't wait to get out to my first show and do my first live review, because I love going and having an interview with the artist or whatever, and then getting in amongst it, and writing my tracks and stuff, and then meeting them afterwards and going, "What about that?" And their hair stuck to their face, and like, "Yeah, this is brilliant, and what a place," whatever it is, King Tut's or or the Cat House or whatever. This is brilliant, that, and the Hugging Pint's a cracking little place.
And really, that's the thing. I think, like, as much work as you can do in the studio, and putting all the money and time into producing music, nothing is ever going to top playing live. And that whole thing that you've just explained there, the whole live experience, and both from a performer and from an audience member, that's what we've all really missed. I think that is what, if you could say, if you go to sort of 2 or 3 gigs a month, and then suddenly there's nothing, people are desperate for it. And that's what I found doing the festivals that I've done up to this point, is just how hungry for it people are. Absolutely. And that 10 minutes before you've even started setting up, people are right at the front, leaning on the barrier, just waiting for you to come out. And it's you
better be good. I'll do my best.
Let me down now.
Remember where you are. You're in Glasgow.
Especially in Glasgow, my gosh.
Oh yes, and they'll let you know. I mean, my last gig in 2019, I did 122 gigs.
Wow.
And then my last gig was 28th of February 2020, when I saw Samantha Fish at the St Luke's in the Wing Docks, which is an old style. It's like an old church that still has the organ set up in it. It's incredible. When she lit up, the lighting's incredible, and it's a brilliant place for a gig. I've seen a few gigs in there, and that was my last show, 28th of February. 2020, you know, and I haven't been to anything. So, like yourself, I'm so fortunate that I get to review music, you know, and it's just incredible that there's so much talent there.
Funnily enough, my last gig was Glasgow. It was Country on the Clyde.
Country, yeah.
It was, and it was, I think it was the 13th of March. So it was supposed to be C2C weekend. Yes. And obviously the C2C couldn't go ahead because the Americans couldn't get over. So the beauty of the Country on the Clyde event is because we were all UK based, we were still able to squeeze the last of it out. And it was fantastic. I mean, I'm pretty sure we all contracted COVID.
Listen, we like to give you something, Kezia. You come to Glasgow, if you don't have a good time, we'll give you something. And we've all COVID. Brilliant.
But that was the last one, because it was literally a week later that we all went into the national lockdown. So what a way to go out.
Absolutely. Swinging your cowboy boots in Glasgow, getting COVID, and then having lockdown. No.
Absolutely.
What's not to like? What's not to like? So, listen, I know you're extremely busy. I appreciate so much your time. We've had a laugh. This is getting an insight into Kezia Gill. You know, I'm sure that the audience will really love it. This is now your time to start plugging. You've got 2 minutes left, so plug away. Tell them where they can go, where they can buy your stuff, where you're going on tour. Over to you.
Oh, bless it. Thank you so much. Well, the good thing is I've got an unusual name. So there's not many Kezia Gills. So the place to go for all the information is keziagill.com, KEZIAGILL, keziagill.com. And there you'll find all my upcoming gigs. You can still get some tickets for the tour. I've also got a shop, and you can get everything from t-shirts to mugs to earrings, handwritten lyrics as well, if you fancy. And it's also got news of everything that I'm up to. And if you follow me on the socials, I'm forever putting up little videos and telling you what's coming and doing stupid stuff to keep you all entertained. So yeah, just follow me on this journey.
I'm sure they will, Kezia, because I think, you know, you're an extraordinary talent. The EP is just incredible. It's got some mighty fine tunes on it. And obviously that comes across well in my review. But thank you so much for your time. I'm sure that I will see you in Glasgow in the Hug and Pint. And
certainly will.
We'll have a laugh about this, and I'll get to meet Jade, and we'll have a bit of a giggle.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, Darren. Thank you.
This is Darren from Jace Media, having a right old hoot with Kezia Gill, country Americana, singer-songwriter, who's afforded us the time this afternoon, saying thank you so much, Kezia, and we'll see you on the road in November.
God willing.
Take care.